As it is that we're all dealing with lust, what propels lust to have an existence within us? If we know each other, if we feel secure in who we are, if we have confidence in ourselves, then there's no need for us to go to want in our minds to go want to construct images and say me, and go to want to have more acceptance, more money, more this or more that in order to feel relevant. So obviously, if there's a measure of lust of all of us, there's a measure of insecurity in all of us as well. And through that measure of lust, what do we reap? Let's look at the pros. Pros is that sometimes we get an awesome happening. Out of that awesome happening comes a measure of happiness. And that could feel good, granted. But do the pros outweigh the cons? What other pro would there be? The cons. That in order to get that happening in our mind, we have to create a dependency, not on ourselves, but on people. Other people have to nod their head and like this in order for us to attain that happening in our mind. So we cannot just think ourselves into a place of joy and peace. We need that happening to accomplish itself that we have in our mind, and we need dependency on other people. So we completely lost power as soon as we give someone else the authority as to whether or not we'll feel good, and that's dependency. And on top of that, is it really anyone else's responsibility to have to make us feel better about ourselves? Right? Everybody's got their own weight to carry, don't they? Another con is that we miss out on the parade of life. There's a loss of potential of happenings, of meeting people, of having great things happen in our lives. For instance, life is kind of like a parade, isn't it? Sometimes we live life. Let's compare life to a parade. I know it sounds silly, but there's a purpose to this, thing. Sometimes in life, we're so centered on that one happening that that one happening could be equivalent to that float. We're waiting for it, and eventually we see it, and it looks great, and in 2, 3 minutes, and 4 minutes, and it's gone, it passes by. Now, while we were focusing so much on the arrival of that float, throughout those 3, 4 hours the parade lasted, what else did we get? Seeing that we were so focused and centered on one thing, we completely missed out on everything else around it, on all the different floats, on the different people, on all the scenery. So for that 3 hours, we got maybe 4 hours of instant gratification that came and that went. Number 3, another con, a loss of time, which goes with this analogy of the parade, I guess you could say. So not only do we lose out on people and happenings, but we lose out on enjoying the here, the then, and the now, the here and the now. And we miss out on everything because we're not aware of what's happening around us because our mind and our thinking is centered on that one thing, and we are blinded to see the beauty, the possibilities, and the good people we can meet. And with all this being said, lust. In order to get the things we want, there comes an element of presentation. Obviously, if you feel insecure, then you're going to want people to see something about yourself that will gravitate them towards you. You want to hook, line, and sinker people. So you'll fall in an element of presentation, and through that presentation, you're going to want to showcase some kind of appearance. Now, when you feel the need to have an element of presentation, showcase some appearance, what happens is you have to carry that with you. You have to put on a mask. You have to carry this weight. This is your baby. This is what's going to help people gravitate towards you. And what happens is, with a lot of weight, is that we psychoanalyze a lot. We're going to overthink a lot. And as we overthink and we psychoanalyze, because we want people to see this, we're going to cause ourselves to have worry. And worry ultimately leads to stress. And stress could be very self-destructive in many ways. As in one of my previous videos, it also depletes the person's longevity of life. Now, to look at all back at this, and at the end of it all, we have the ego. Ultimately, that's what the ego does. It safeguards. This is what it safeguards. It safeguards the weight that we have to carry. It safeguards the possibility of worry and stress that more than likely we'll have to deal with by having to concern ourselves with the weight. It makes us lose our time on everything else around us. It makes us lose our possibility of happenings and meeting other people. It basically makes us empty. It makes us empty. And it makes us dependent on other people. While you and I have a mind that we can think, and through thoughts we can experience the element of joy, we have to be dependent on the happening. We have to be dependent on the maybe, as opposed to the now and the us. And ultimately, what an ego is kind of like that guy. Once they start a party, your being has a door. The ego opens the door for all of those things to come within you. So do we really want to invest ourselves into this ego? Do we really want to reap all of these things? Or do we not want to come to a place where we understand each other, where we find peace, where we know that who we are as people, nature will gravitate us, and nature will gravitate us towards us people and towards where we need to be, and so on. Further conversation for later.